evening, fellow morons, and welcome to Critics versus Audiences. How are we all doing?
All good.
We've got lots of information from you, Zai.
Exciting.
Well, we're here to talk about two absolutely random movies that we this time we never put up onto Instagram. We did pick them because it was a bit more niche with the Critics versus Audiences scores, but we're here today to talk about School of Rock, which got a lot of interactions on Instagram about how amazing it is and how they were shocked it has even been selected. And a film that I honestly hadn't even heard of called The Boondock Saints. Who would like to go first? And let's talk about School of Rock to start with.
I'll jump in. We've got it quick. You've normally got loads of spiel to give up.
Do you know what it is?
He's always
one
in a hurry
movie.
tonight.
So you've not told us what the film's about as well. You need to start off with that.
Give us a wee synopsis of School of Rock, please, Kyle.
God, put me on the spot here, guys, thinking we could just get straight into it. Typically, he's more at me for talking too much, but we'll talk about School of Rock to start with then. After being kicked out of his rock band, Dewey Finn becomes a substitute teacher of an uptight elementary private school, only to try and turn his class into a rock band. This was a first watch for me. Had anyone else seen this before or not seen it?
I hadn't seen it.
I think I'd seen it years ago, but I couldn't remember a lot of it. I definitely partook in its pleasures at some point in the past, though.
Well, now that you've set me up with a wee synopsis and I can remember what the movie is, I'll give you my thoughts.
Well, before we do that, though, I'm going to interrupt you, though, because I thought I'll have this loaded up and I never done it. But the reason this was picked was because of the difference it had between the critic score and the audience score as well. So this scored a 64% on Rotten Tomatoes audience scores and a 92% for the critics as well. So a big difference in there. Weirdly, the audience being the ones that don't like it.
Aye. I'm interested to see where we fall as five morons watching films. If we fall more towards critics or more towards popular choice and what was used to. But I've seen, this is one of Ella's favourite movies, so I'd actually watched this a couple of times in the last year. It's like one of Ella's comfort films. So, and I think a lot of this depends on, and this is what I'm interested to hear from you guys, a lot of this depends on whether you can stick Jack Black or not. See if you can deal with Jack, because this is Jack Black just being Jack Black. Like, it's as if this film was written for him, which it might have been. I've not looked up any trivia. But it's Jack Black being over the top for an hour and a half plus with a lot of cute kids to sort of play off of. And it's really just a sort of the Jack Black show with him getting, because obviously he's an over the top comedic actor, but he's also a musician. He loves music, so it's like the ideal sort of part for him. But this having a low audience score does surprise me, because it's one of those that it's very inoffensive. I don't think there's much in this that's to be disliked. I find it a thoroughly enjoyable start to finish movie. I think most of the kids in it are really well cast. They bounce off with Jack Black pretty well. The woman who plays the principal, is that, who is it? She's famous as well.
Joan Cusack.
That's it, Joan Cusack. I think she's amazing in this. She's the best bit of Bonsas who character. He's wee annoying flatmate and his girlfriend. They do man nothing. Like, no, I know they're supposed to be annoying, but they don't annoy me in the right sort of way. The highlight of this is it's hard to. I'm going to take your time here. This isn't going to get
take
like
your
a
time,
massive.
because all we're hearing is Ella's words playing you like a little puppet now, so we'll get your words coming in very soon.
Yes, this is not going to get an overly high score for me, right? Because it's not a amazing top end movie, but at the same time it's thoroughly enjoyable. I never really find myself laughing out loud. It's more like a sort of feel good film that the message seems to be that everyone can do whatever they want and you can be whatever you want to be. So they lean on the fact that the the sort of heavier young girl that was shy and being picked on can now suddenly be confident and sing. And the wee guy that had sort of ADD and didn't know what to do, well, you can be a drummer and that'll help you get everything out. And the wee guy that was, the one that I felt sorry for was the wee guitarist guy whose dad was a complete fucking wank.
Yeah.
And didn't want him to do anything good for himself and just wanted him to do whatever really he wanted. And it's all about these wee kids getting to sort of discover themselves and discover something new and grow as kids. And I don't know, it's got a nice wee message to it. I find it really hard to dislike it.
But it's not going to score high.
At the same time, it's not a fucking amazing movie, is it? It's really paid by numbers, held together by Jack Black's over-the-top performance, which is amazing. Like, this is him in his element. The whole Battle of the Bands concept, that it gets a wee bit silly towards the end when it's hard to really believe that these kids would get to just be taken out of the school and fucking get taken down to a bar and playing this gig, and then suddenly, because they're good, all the parents are just like, yeah, like, we love you now. We hated this all before. And everyone always turns around at the end, and it does, the negative bit of this is it does sort of encourage you to, who gives a fuck if you pay your rent, and who gives a fuck like what you do in life, and you don't need to fucking care about anything because you'll be a rock star one day, and if you're not a rock star, you can cheat and lie, and then everything will be good in the end, and there'll be no consequences whatsoever to you doing all these things where the police get involved. Because at the end of it, after he's done all these things, he gets caught by the police. The same children that he kidnapped get to come to him for after school club. Like, that's fucking... There should be a little bit of comeuppance afterwards. But no, I don't think that this one's going to be as controversial as we thought, because I've got a feeling that most people here will quite like it. But what did you think, Hunter?
Kind of very similar to you. I mean, it is. I mean, I said it's not going to pull up any punches. It's not going to threaten anywhere near the top of the leaderboard. And I think, and that's again not because it's a bad film. I think obviously, I mean, its target audience is obviously younger kids, sort of early teenagers, sort of that sort of early high school sort of age is probably the target audience. And obviously, I think when this came out, majority of us have probably been like 16, 17, 18 when it came out, so we've missed it at then. And then again, if we've not watched it, returning to it now another 17 years down the line, that you're not going to get bought into it. We've maybe not got any sentimental value. We've maybe obviously not been brought up, watched it loads over the times. But again, going along with that, similar to what you've said, Jack Black, I mean, I don't find him or thingy, whatever in it, but he obviously plays the role very well. As you're saying, it is just him. It's his personality. It comes across really well. He does have a great camaraderie with the kids, and obviously he's got that rapport with Joan Cusack's character as well. Again, as you said, she's great. Play this as proper sort of highly strung, ditzy principal who again everything is either all sugar or all shite, and there's there in between. And then he takes her out, and then he finds out that she's not on it all the time when they have that exchange in the bar when she's like, oh, she loves music, and they find a bit of common ground, and that's obviously I think he plies her with a few white wines or beers or whatever they're on. But
it's another good message to send to people, isn't it?
Yeah.
Get folks stealing and take advantage of them.
And not even that as well.
The same thing.
But even to get into the Battle of the Band, he lies about the kids dying. He sort of with blood disease, as if encouraging a lot of cheating and lying, and you're rewarded.
He was so believable at that point as well, Hunter, that he had obviously everyone planned out that well when he stuttered all the way through his reasoning. It was just bought straight away by everyone that was at the Battle of the Bands, wasn't it? They didn't even question.
It's like, the kids are dying, fucking I just signed them up.
It's like, they might not even make it, so let's say just put them on anyway.
Aye.
We've had them on. They can come on like second last, but we've got that big sort of gap that would be real a comedian or anything. We'll just get them on the bill. Yeah,
no, fair play. Like, for me, so I made my disdain clear in the chat that I don't like Jack Black. I don't like music particularly, especially rock music, and I don't particularly like kids. Even even though those two little freeloaders that live in the same house as me.
But you say you don't like music?
No, I can't be arsed with music half the time, to be honest.
Just like
just music in general, or like
Give me a
rock music?
7-hour podcast or a 7-hour audiobook about Marvel instead. If you want a fun fact, the last songs that I was listening to in the car, I looked at this earlier. If it's not Disney for Poppy, it was D12 or Eminem.
Right, fair enough, fucking hell.
Yeah.
Every time I've been in the car, we've always had like the radio and like Talk Sport or something. There's never been any music on there. I'm thinking back to like the country.
I listen, guys. The only thing I listen to is us. We're the only thing worth listening to. But no, I actually really enjoyed it. Like taking all three of those things that I don't like and putting them into one. It was actually quite good. I tried to take it like not seriously in the slightest. Joy, I was not trying to look and see what the plot or anything like that was. I still don't like Jack Black. Yeah, there was a lot of the time where I'm like, just dial it back a little bit. But what I wanted them to do, I wanted them to dial it back a little bit, or go way over the uncomfortable top with it to make it funny. Like he's in that really annoying bit in between where he'll be making loads of facial expressions, or he's doing his solo, or he's like doing his long-winded joke, but it's just not long enough for me to then feel uncomfortably funny. I don't know if that makes any sense to you guys, but that in terms of humour for me, I'm like, cut it in half or extend it by double. Because if it keeps going on and on and on to the point where it's really uncomfortable, I'd find that funny. But he's just irritating. It's probably the best way to describe him. But there's not much other films that I could actually think of that I've seen him in that's really made me think this of him. I don't know if it's just a notion that I've had for him, maybe because of music and stuff, or this film, I don't know. But I have proper disdain for him. I was also really confused because I was half paying attention to the opening scenes and it was telling you who's all in the movie. And I spent the whole film looking to work out when John Cusack came onto the screen. Because I had no idea who she was, so that never clicked for me at all. I thought that I seen John Cusack was in the film. I could not work out where I'd missed him. I thought surely he's got a major part in it somewhere.
That's what you should have gone to be.
Wait. I actually really liked Sarah Silverman's character in it. I thought she was quite funny. Her and the partner, the roommate, they were such a like a weird couple, but you felt for them, like you felt they were getting the piss ripped out of them by this random guy that was just living in their house. I quite liked them. They were quite like a plus point for me. There's loads of really, really weird parts about it. Like you do sympathise with the kids because they are in this like stuck up school where it must be boring as fuck, and you can tell that in their faces that they don't get to live their own little personality. And like Daniel touched on, the message is really good because it tells people that you can stretch what is being told of you, and there's lots of little barriers that can get broken down. I guess it's a game where I wish you showcased a little bit more of it. Like I was more interested in like the keyboard player. He seemed like he was going to have like a bigger character arc in it, but then it was a wee boy that was like the talented guitarist and he could write music very well. But just give us a little bit more from the wee guy in the keyboard, the wee boy in the drums as well. Again, just wanted like a little bit more understanding from them. But what annoyed me, and I suppose it's the whole point in the film as well, is although he was building this schooly rock band, he still had to be the main guy. Like Jack Black was still the main guy from it, and as much as his whole aim was to go in for this selfish reasons to win the battle of the bands, I was just expecting him to stand off the stage at that point and let the kids do it. I don't know, like that would have made more sense for me in terms of like turn him away from being the dickhead into a little bit of the hero. Like he's been a teacher that showed all the parents, like maybe he's down beside the parents celebrating them along, but no, he was centre stage.
One bit as well, just I forgot to mention, was that another good positive for me is the ones that didn't want to be involved in the band, he just accepted everybody straight away, like instantly. And it was like the wee boy that wanted to do the wee camp guy that wanted to design all the outfits and that. Like, when you go, Mr. Fancy Pants, you do whatever you want. Like that instant acceptance of everyone's little quirks was good. And the wee lassie that he made the manager as well. It was like, you just be the boss. It's fine. You carry on. You do what you're good at. And all that.
It was a really uncomfortable scene though when she was explaining how she'd worked out what groupies were.
Yeah.
Just trying to think of like the age levels of these people and stuff, and she's googling what groupies get up to. And if you think back to us watching stuff like Almost Famous, and then you learn a bit more about what groupies are up to, and that film maybe makes it a little bit more uncomfortable. But Burnsy, you'd have been on a first time viewing for this as well, so let's bring you in and see what your thoughts were.
Yeah, most of it's sort of been covered, but like I sort of agree with most of the stuff you've said. There's sort of bits from each year, but I agree with. So like, I thought all the characters were impressive throughout. It was like I'd noted down that I thought Daniel was going to hate the guy that played Ned. Sorry, I just had that feeling. What he was, and to me he did like annoy me as well, because he just seemed a bit of a nothing, just walkover kind of guy, which I just thought that was going to grate on Daniel a wee bit. It's the first film that I think I've seen Jack Black in, and I thought he was really good. Like, I think similar to you, Kel, I thought at the end where he was like front and centre, kind of it would have made a lot more sense for him to just like either be telling them what to do, making sure they're never correct, or be down with the parents or whatever. Whereas you felt as if you went on a sort of journey with him. Well, I did anyway, because at the very start, when he's just like this, playing in the band gets released, and then like he's just like this lazy guy just lying about the house. At that point, I was just like thinking to myself, I can't stand you. And then obviously, even though he does something completely wrong in terms of pretending to be the teacher, you obviously feel you actually begin to like him because of the interactions with the kids throughout. And then obviously at the end, you're kind of at the stage as well. It's like it's as if you've only done this for your own benefit, and it's difficult to know whether that was his full reason or whether he was doing it for the kids, and it's maybe a mixture of the both of them. I thought Miranda Cosgrove as Summer, she was really good in terms of just our one-liners, and she was quite amusing. I thought, similar to you, Daniel, though, I don't think it wasn't one of those films where I was laughing loudly. It was more like kind of giggles or smirks or whatever, with our sort of subtle stuff that was going on.
But you're a big iCarly fan, though, so you're obviously going to like Miranda Cosgrove.
That's it.
I just don't the idea what that is.
I just thought I'll agree and see if you just gloss over that bit, didn't it? Feels spectacularly. But no, I thought like the film flowed quite well throughout. As well, that the interactions with the kids, they were all it wasn't too in depth, but you kind of felt as if you found out a wee bit of each character. And it was kind of flew by the film as well. I think different to what you have sort of said, is I think I'm probably going to score this higher than possibly what all of you are going to score it based on what you've said so far. I thought the principal, I thought she was really good as well. But no, I don't think there wasn't really anything else I don't think it could improve it really. The only thing would probably possibly be the ending in terms of Jack Black's character sort of standing back, but maybe that's the reason for it, because you're not sure whether you're supposed to really like him, considering obviously all the stuff that he's done in terms of having a false identity as such. And then, like Daniel mentioned as well, there should have been some kind of comeuppance from him, instead of it just being as if he's just been let go when he's just been in a school with kids for 3 weeks or whatever it was. Left alone with him when he's not got any qualifications and shouldn't have been left with 20 odd people in a classroom for 6 hours a day or whatever. But you can see why the kids obviously started to like him, because he sort of built those relationships with him, and he'd probably come across as like the cool school teacher that everyone would probably enjoy, compared to the ones that they were dealing with on a daily basis, when the majority of them probably wanted to go and just have fun a lot of the time, and they were getting stuck to doing in the classroom, try to become these brilliantly bright teenagers or whatever, or kids. So no, I thought it was really enjoyable. I don't think there's much poor points about it whatsoever.
There was quite a lot of, when I was looking at this after, I was just expecting a lot of like the younger actors and actresses to go on to be like in more movies and stuff, but a surprising amount of them only just did this. Like Little Zach, that we touched on about how good Little Zach was. That was his only movie that he ever done.
Did Ella mentioned this earlier, that brought me down a little bit. One of them, the wee drummer guy's dead, I think.
He died last year. Yep, bike accident. I read that on the trivia.
There you go. That'll bring the mood down a little bit.
Yeah.
What a fucking downer.
Well, Sean, just since we've lowered the tone really well there, let's bring you in to get your thoughts.
I'm pretty much the same as yours. I'd seen this before more than once. Was it 2004 it came out, so it would have been back then that I seen it. I don't really mind Jack Black. I kind of obviously picked up in a couple of you saying that before, but I can understand why people aren't too keen on him. But anything he has been in, like, well, what can I think of as this? The new Jumanji's in that is alright. He does play the kind of same kind of character quite a lot, but that's just his range, and there's plenty of other actors that are kind of in the same boat as him that just play the same kind of character, and for some reason his seems to get picked up on a lot more, and he seems to get called out a lot more for it. But no, it is what it is. You've already kind of touched on everything. I never really laughed at that. Actually, the one bit that I did laugh out loud at was when he got kind of caught out at the parents' night, and then he said, I have your kids have touched me, and I may have, and I think I've touched your kids as well, or something like that. That bit did make me laugh, but the rest of it was just kind of like a wee wry smile and stuff like that. And that's not because we're miserable bastards or anything like that. It's just we're all done and we've seen these kind of jokes made 100 times before. But it is what it is. It's a simple story. There's so many plot holes in it, but you can overlook them. Like, you've already kind of touched on all the plot holes, and like, how does just a random guy get into a school to pass as a teacher? Like, I mean, there would be more checks than, well, there was no checks done in the film. There would be obviously loads of background checks and stuff done if he was a real teacher. So they missed that out. But it is what it is. It's an easy watch. It's just, there isn't really much to say in it, and these kind of films come along once in a while for us where we all just kind of say the same thing and then we move on, and it'll be an average score for everybody. I don't think anybody's going to score it really, really high or really, really low. I think it'll be kind of banged in the middle for the majority here. But no, I like it. It is what it is. It's just such an easy watch, and I knew it was going to be that before I even had watched it. Because I've not seen it in years, but I knew that it would have just been a simple watch again, and there wouldn't have been any issues with it at all.
And that makes sense, because
this movie was just him turning up for his interview and then failing the background check, and that was it.
Have you got your driving licence with you? No, that's it.
Leaving any form of identification.
But what they could have done is they could have went back and did similar to what they did with Face Off, and then swapped each other's faces. And then he could have that could have worked.
Mixed with School of Rock, that would be funny, like.
Sorry?
The Face Off mixed with School of Rock would be funny. Can you imagine his wee flatmate was Nicolas Cage instead of that wee fucking...
He actually looks like Nicolas Cage, but just with ginger hair.
Ginger hair Nicolas Cage, out.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Well, and I just wanted to bring up there as well, I didn't actually realise until I'd seen it there and now that the little boy that plays Frankie is also Bobby Bacalari Jr. in Sopranos.
Is he?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, yep, so he is, aye.
That just took me a wee while to put his face into my mind there. Aye, yes.
Well, because I've clicked on there on IMDb, and I'll send a picture into the group chat later. But he absolutely looks like spitting image of our friend Dave in this picture of him on IMDb. But yeah, little Bobby from The Sopranos is little Frankie from School of Rock.
He's not got a fuck in his face, has he?
There is something on his face, yet, but it's no blue, so it's no spitting. Hey, Hunter, do you have much trivia that you want to share with the School of Rock?
Yes, I do have a fair bit to that too. So Jack Black thought of all the nicknames for all the kids. So I know we kind of said now before that the role was written for Jack Black, actually was. So what had happened was the writer, Mick White, the screenplay I believe for it, moved into an apartment block and Jack Black was already staying there, and Jack Black was often found running around the corridors of said apartment block naked whilst playing the loud music from his room, which is sort of the music that sort of builds up the soundtrack of this film. So that's by having seen Jack Black running around naked in an apartment block playing loud music, he's thought, I'm going to write a film where he's in charge of kids at school.
Wow.
Jesus. I knew where you were going and I was hoping you didn't.
Yeah. So all the kids are very musically talented, so they all play their own instruments. They're all able to play their own instruments. I thought that was actually, but it's not just like ad-lib the music all over the top. They're all very capable musicians. Bunty's favourite, Miranda Cosgrove, she can't actually sing. So there was the scene where where they're doing the auditions for backing vocalists, and she sort of fails the audition. But what had happened is she actually had to take 45-minute bad singing lessons so that she could reenact that. So her singing voice didn't come out when she was doing that scene.
I did actually quite like that scene because she was that little Miss Know-All and who was amazing at everything. So the fact that she couldn't sing and others in the class could was brilliant.
And I think as well, see, because obviously she wasn't talented, but even still, when she was like made band manager, she felt herself that she had the best job for us. It really was.
Yeah.
She wasn't talented, and he was just trying to keep her on side because he didn't want a secret coming out basically.
That's true. So Jack Black switches the direction that his hair was swept depending if he was being himself. Do a thing, or if he was in the teaching role, so he would sweep it the other way if he was playing Ned Stevely.
Williams back.
Oh no. So there was also a convicted murderer, John Yuka, was an extra in the film. We've seen brushing past Joan Cusack in the crowd at the gig.
Was he convicted before or after this movie?
I think it must have been after, surely. You didn't just let a guy.
He was apprehended at the filming.
And the original script, actually had Jack Black and Joan Cusack's characters falling in love after their night out at the bar. But obviously it's been changed.
No. I was quite surprised that they didn't fuck.
Oh, I was too.
I expected
that would have been a totally different film, especially with the language that you've chosen there.
School of Cops.
That's the Pornhub version.
Sorry, they didn't make love. But yeah, that's where I thought that was going. The first time I watched it was that he's going to bang her. But
I'm going to throw a curveball here, but I think even though it would have turned into a love story, I wouldn't have enjoyed that.
Oh, it's because there was only two of them involved.
Yeah.
When you think about that, though, that's probably quite a refreshing thing about this movie that it doesn't have that, because 99% of these do have some sort of
it's like shoehorned in
story going on, where there's got to be some sort of love interest, and normally you'd expect that a film like this to at least be some other alternative type teacher that is in another class that he's like, oh, you're not stuck up like the best, and let's. But it's probably quite a good thing there's none of that.
It probably does do things a little bit differently, because we touched on the ending where he's still centre stage when you would expect, and like I said earlier, I wanted him to not be the centre stage at that point. But I think that's more because I was expecting it to go that way.
I'm sure he does say, though, no, it's your time, guys, like you go, and they, like when they get the encore. And they go, come back.
That's a bit like you go first, when you're queuing up for something. You didn't really want the person to go first.
Doesn't really mean it when he doesn't really mean it. He could easily still turn it down.
Selfish wanker. Which we shouldn't be surprised by, because the whole film is about him trying to win that 10 grand for himself.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I don't know how he was planning on splitting it with a whole classroom. Like, that's fucked him massively.
We never told them it was a
school project.
Right.
I know.
Well, happy days. That then does wrap us up for the School of Rock.
I can see him. He's got more.
Oh, my apologies, Hunter.
No. I'm just going to make sure I've not missed anything. I'm usually, oh shit, I forgot something, but we've covered all points that I've written down.
There you go, Daniel. You pipe in next time. Well, let's get on and get scoring School of Rock. Did Instagram have much to say about School of Rock over the last week?
Loads. I'd say 90% of the comments, there was a few Boondock Saints comments, but most of the comments underneath this post were about School of Rock, and people were astonished that this had such a low audience score. But when we put out the vote for Instagram to give their scores, there was quite a wide range. So there was quite a lot of like 5s and 4s, but there was a few 1s and 2s in there. So there must be something about this that people don't like, that because obviously it's reflected in the audience score, and on Instagram there was quite a few people who really didn't like this. So I don't personally get it, but there must be something polarising about this somewhere.
I take it there was no comments explaining why there was low scores, because I just don't really see why somebody...
All the public comments we got were all incredibly positive.
Yeah, strange.
Well, let's see what we then score it. Daniel, you take the lead here.
I'm going to give it a very positive 3.5.
3.5 from Daniel. Hunter?
It's definitely an above average film, but again, it's not going to fit into anywhere near our top level of elite film, so just 3 out of 5 for me.
3 from Hunter. Burnsy?
I'm going to give it a 3.75.
A 3.75. Sean?
Just a straightforward 3 for me.
Straightforward 3, and then I'll copy Sean's homework this week and give it a 3 as well. Quite a decent score for it. It's going to be interesting to see what that then puts on the leaderboard. Burnsy, what would that then make it out to be?
I made an arse list. I'm having to recount it now. So you have to get that out.
The accountant.
Guys,
I did the scores and it gave it a 2.65, so I realised that was wrong.
Nobody scored that under a 2.65.
I know. So that gives it an overall 3.25.
A 3.25. So scrolling down through our IMDb leaderboard, that then puts this movie just slightly below Spirited Away. And this will piss people off on Instagram. It's joint 43rd with Pan's Labyrinth and Logan, which we got a lot of hate for scoring Logan so low. So the fact that School of Rock is then going to tie in.
Oh, better than Logan, that's upsetting me.
Well, you shat all over Pan's Labyrinth last time, Burnsy, so...
I know, and then I realised after reviewing it that I scored it a 4 when we originally scored it.
I was waiting till later on to address this, but last week we all got a chance to give an up or a down of a 0.5 to a movie, and Burnsy's chosen to take his 0.5 off of Pan's Labyrinth when he gave it a fucking 4 at the time. Like me and you, I think, liked it the most of everybody.
There was reasoning behind my madness though, because I looked through the scores and like I said at the time, I didn't want to. I'm getting bored now with just berating No Country for Old Men. It's no fun anymore. So I was looking. Now that you put that up, I'm like, no, I wish I did score it down because now it's far too high. But like the other films that were in line with it were better. I think it's maybe I just overscored Pan's Labyrinth at the time, but this is definitely better than Pan's Labyrinth, even though I gave it a lower score.
Yeah, so you can tell that we take the scoring of this extremely seriously, and we do think about it a lot, that we're not just winging it on the day. We are the absolute professionals when it comes to our craft, week in, week out. Jesus.
The lack of consistency is fucking hilarious, eh?
Oh, well, listen, if you want to hear more about this lack of consistency and extremely erratic scoring, please jump onto Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music. All the podcast ranges have us available on them now. Podcast has been doing pretty well. We are up to 577 total downloads. We've got 14 downloads today, guys. It's been going well. The Spider-Man episode is still rocking as our number 1. That's approaching 100 downloads. So if you want to listen to that, that's probably one of the best ones. Go get downloading.
That's probably just because you keep on downloading it because you're that sad that it didn't end up going up to 5 point whatever that you wanted last week. Just you on various devices, just constantly downloading your. Me and my 35 phones just downloading Spider-Man No Way Home.
Listen, it's the best movie that we've watched out all the films we've seen, so it's a travesty that that's not a number 1. But anyway,
I tried to fix it, but
anyway, please give us a download, and thank you to those that already have downloaded and that are listening. We do appreciate it. Before we jump on to the next movie though, however, Sean, do you want to bring us in with some Instagram comments? This is quickly becoming the segment of the week.
So I've got some here now. Let me just go back to the first one. Right, okay.
Bonzi, just to warn you, please don't interrupt him because he'll shit all over you like he did last time.
I'm scared. I'm never going to say anything to him ever again.
I'll cue you back in when you're ready. When I think you're ready to talk. Okay. Now, it's funny that you were just kind of talking about Spider-Man there, because there is still a lot of Spider-Man comments coming through.
I assume they're all saying that it should be number 1, scored higher.
Well, if you let me finish, I'll tell you. So,
just whenever you're ready, Sean.
In regards to Spider-Man, so some of these names I'm not even going to attempt to read them out because they're the pronunciation. I'm just going to absolutely butcher it. So, in fact, I'll give it a bash. So we've got M.Nikolashvili 09, who this is obviously on the top 10 when we put the top 10 poster, which obviously we covered last week, but there's so many comments. I've just decided to kind of keep some for this week as well. So obviously, where is it that Spider-Man was placed on that list, Kyle?
It's currently number 3.
No, at the time of posting, before they took the points off it.
Second.
Also 3.
Well, it was second. Dad put it second rather than third. I got called out
Kyle
for that.
Daniel put it back up. Sorry, Kyle put it up, Daniel put it down, so it stayed where it was, pretty much.
So with the Spider-Man comments, it is all negative, I'm afraid. We've got somebody, I've actually cropped their name out, but they said Spider-Man number 3, and they have put 15 laughing emojis. We've then got the boy I was just saying there, Nikolashvili 09, says, really? Spider-Man? It doesn't even deserve to be in the top 10. We've got Noah LWBR, who says Spider-Man on this list. Laughing my ass off. Let's go. We've then got Vincent Regan 5. How the fuck is Spider-Man 3? Put it 10. So he's obviously got his own thoughts on the exact position that it's to go to. Michael O'Connor 1, 2, 3, 4 says, point of view, you should never ever review movies again. I think he's meant to put review, but the stupid cunt can't spell, so he's put review instead of review. Again, we've got Spider-Man No Way Home ? We've then got there is an imposter among us, and actually the only one comment I've seen about The Godfather, even after me taking points off it, was Godfather is number 10. What the fuck? I didn't actually get any hassle from Godfather fanboys for taking the points off it, which was quite surprising. We then have Gib.Charlie. Now this is like a wee interaction here. Obviously a wee kind of conversation goes on in the comments. So Gib.Charlie says, the fuck is Godfather doing so low? And he was backed up by 15 people that liked his status. We've then got Punished VTR, who commented saying one of them gave it like a 1. I'm not even joking. And that was obviously me. But again, he's not done his homework, he's not checked it, so I didn't give it a 1. So then Punished VTR then says the same guy gave Spider-Man a 5 too. Again, he's wrong, I never gave Spider-Man a 5. It then goes on. Gib Charlie comes back in and goes, stop. Is that true? A 1? What a clown. Seriously, how is he a part of the reviewing with that kind of stupidity? That really pisses me off. It then continues. Punished VTR comes back in and corrects him and goes, wait, my bad, he gave it a 2, which is still bad, but not as bad. He's obviously went and checked it again. Mm-hmm. I then replied to these two guys in 2 separate comments with just hummers of laughing faces, emojis, and none of them got back to me, unfortunately. But that is literally the comments. I obviously went for the longer ones with the Spider-Man and the big conversation, which I thought was quite humorous. But so that was the wee comments corner for this week.
Well, thanks for that. I mean, I'm quite upset with all the Spider-Man hate there and the lack of hate for Godfather. I might need to go back and reply to a few more people.
I think the reason that the Godfather thing wasn't picked up on when I took the score off it is because the way that, I don't know if it was, I think it was Daniel that put it up, and obviously he's done it where like you have to scroll across to the next picture. People are obviously just too fucking lazy to scroll to the end, or the second for the end, wherever I was, and they've not actually noticed that I've taken 0.5 off the Godfather. So I think
Okay.
I was the same as you, Sean, because I was wondering when Daniel was going to put the rest of your posts up, and I realised I had to scroll through them all. I'm one of those people.
The first thing I even put in the description is swipe with arrows showing you which direction to swipe. I made it like idiot too.
I also can't read well enough. So.
Idiot's found.
I'm pretty sure one of the if not the first comment that was on that post was wishing me death, I think.
Aye, yeah, you were getting absolute pelters actually. And as I said, there was loads and loads and loads of people that didn't agree with Spider-Man even being in the top 10 and stuff. There was loads of that, loads and loads.
Oh well, somebody did say that the guy that gave Spider-Man a minus 0.5 is clearly unwell, and they're obviously spot on. Hey Daniel.
We can't win. We got weeks and weeks of abuse about Spider-Man, and then abuse for taking points off Spider-Man. You can't please these people. These people are mental. There's too many. One that this wasn't funny enough, like to get the full interaction in Sean's comment corner, but I had a full-on 10 comment back and forth chat with someone over. He was angry about the difference in 0.05. 0.05 between Halloween and what else was it? Halloween and Joker. So, Joker's got a 3.5 and Halloween's got a 3.55. And he was fucking fuming about it, fuming. And at the end, he was he got so angry at the end. He's like, "I'm so pissed off. I'm just going to delete all my comments." It annoyed me too much. It's like fucking hell.
You were correct after all that. That was probably the real reason. You guys had made a mistake.
Well, it begs.
On you go.
It begs the question: who are the real morons? Is it us or the people in the comments?
It's 100% the people in the comments.
Oh, it's definitely the morons reviewing movies. That's what it is.
Aye, and see, 90% of these absolute idiots in the comments, they don't even fucking listen to us. They don't even give us the time to actually listen to what we're saying. They just go on a post and they post their absolute nonsense. Whereas the people that do actually listen, who do comment, you can spot them a mile out because they're no dicks. They're quite alright people. Whereas these fucking clowns coming in and fucking taking up all their Instagram traffic. A lot of them. Fucking snakes.
To pull Sean back in from going on a full-on tangent and getting us cancelled and everyone unfollowing us, let's move on to Boondock Saints. This is two Irish Catholic brothers becoming vigilantes and they wipe out Boston's criminal underworld in the name of God. Now, on Rotten Tomatoes, this got a 91% audience score and a 28% critic score. Just want to read you there's a section here that says what to know, which is the critics' consensus. And it's just one line, and it says, a juvenile, ugly movie that represents the worst tendencies of directors channeling Tarantino.
I had to have that written down as part of my reasoning, but...
There you go.
That's it. Bernie doesn't need to talk now. Daniel, let's come to you first.
I watched this tonight, just actually before we came on. This is an absolute clusterfuck of a movie. This is a mess. At no point did I I understood what was going on. I understood what they were trying to do, but it was a fucking mess. Willem Dafoe's extreme overacting at the start, going through the crime scene, and these two nothing about this is one of the worst movies we watched. I'm putting out there this is going to be right down there and would have been in the bottom 10 if this was the 101. This is a shambles. The storytelling is about as good as a low budget PlayStation 1 game. Do you know what type of thing I'm talking about? A rip-off of GTA, a shit version of GTA, where you're going about trying to fucking kill people, and it's the scenes that happen are just cut scenes, and then nothing really connects them together. You never really understand the true motivation. You never really understand what the fuck's going on. When Willem Dafoe turned up dressed as a woman to the gangster's house. Well, I'm delighted that we picked this movie now because I'm glad I've watched this because it's a fucking garbage fire film.
Sorry to jump in on you, Daniel, but what really confused me about this is I feel like I must have missed half hour of this where they worked out that they could actually like be really good at using guns and killing people, and
No. You never.
One of several hundred plot holes at this film.
Several hundred. Aye. This film's fucking ridiculous. The biggest plot hole being that Willem Dafoe can make a relatively handsome man, okay? A believable woman, he cannot be. Like, that guy got all the way to, like, having Willem Dafoe kneeling in front of him ready to fucking take his dick out. Well, it's Willem Dafoe's face. Like, he's got the most distinctive, like, angular man's face that you've ever seen. He would be the ugliest woman to ever exist. And this guy, they always send us prime fucking hotties to the, like, it was like, what's going on? And the fact that, like, it just went from scene to Willem Dafoe looking at the clues, right? But Willem Dafoe, at the start, he's meant to be like this genius fucking detective, right? And he had the two guys in that killed the first two Russian mobsters. Now, when the next day more Russian mobsters die, surely the two guys that you just let go after they killed some Russian mobsters, they're the first folk whose door you go knock on, sure.
Yeah.
And then at the end, when he finds the finger and he's going mental, like he's going mad, and like the music's on and he's like flailing about, like in the middle of the street, trying to like reenact it. And then we mentioned when we picked this that Billy Connolly was in it, and that was quite positive, right?
Oh, that scene.
I was sitting, Ella was still working, I think, well, I was also, Ella's taking up knitting recently, Ella was sitting knitting, and I was just sitting, and it got to the point in the maximum security prison scene, which was fucking stupid, like, so over the top and stupid. And it went up, and I completely forgot Billy Connolly was in this. Like, it was out of my mind completely. And see, when they zoomed up and he lifted his face, it was Billy Connolly. I was like, what the fuck? And then it cuts, like, there's so many things I hated about this. Like, see when they fall out the banks and they're just hanging by the ropes and they manage to, like, kill everybody. This is, like, some fucking plucky teenagers wank this story. Do you know what I mean? It's like everything that a young loser who watches these types of films and wishes they could do, sort of thing. But they never explained how they got down.
No.
Because they were hanging upside down. They killed all those guys, then 2 seconds later they were standing behind the guy on his knees.
No,
they cut it. They cut the rope.
My bad. I missed that bit.
You're maybe middle yawning.
Oh.
They were fighting in the vent. And then basically, 2 seconds after, they're out doing like, the device to tie the ropes together. I was like, what happened in between? You were basically trying to kick fuck at each other in that vent 2 seconds before that.
Couldn't tell if they were supposed to be like sort of stupid and like not quite knowing what they're doing. Much like Kyle said, like when did they learn how to use all these guns, and when did they become expert shooters? And like,
I feel like I missed something because it also starts off with them having the brawl in the bar, and then they live in this total shithole of a little room, and then they're getting all these guns where it's like you pay money and you get a bag, you fill it with as much like ammo and guns as you can. Like, what the fuck is going on there? And then they get all these guns and they're dead confused looking at them all. They've no idea what they need rope for or why they would need a knife, and they're just grabbing anything they can. And then they're like absolute assassins when they start going out and taking out like Boston's biggest mafia bosses. It just
sorry, I was just going to say, my last point is, see, for this movie to work, right, you have to, as a viewer, have a reason to want these bad guys to be killed, right? But you don't see these bad guys do anything bad at any point.
Yeah.
You're just, all it is people on screen being murdered, and then you're told, but they're bad somehow. Like, you don't know what they've done that was bad. And the mafia boss is the one that got Billy Connolly out of prison. And then, but I don't get it. See when it cut so quickly to then suddenly being at the gangster's house, and then they had the two Irish boys prisoner. Like, there was, I've completely missed something there, or they've just cut a bit out of the movie, or they've thought, fuck it, who cares about storytelling? Let's just jump to the next bit. It's like skipping. I was saying a bit like a PlayStation game. It's like, no, you can skip the cutscenes after the while. That's what they've been doing. Like, they've just skipped, oh no, fuck it, you don't need to see that bit. They'll pick it up later on. But no, this is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. What do you think, man?
Echo those statements. Very loud and very proud that this is horrifically bad. I mean, I was watching this and I mean, there's times that this was just so cringe at times. Like, obviously, so you've got the bit where Willem Dafoe first arrived at that scene for the first investigation, and for some reason, like, the soundtrack changes, and he gets like this music dubbed over the top of him emerging at this car and walking to the street, and I'm like, what? Why? What is the point of doing that? Like, it adds nothing to the character. It just, again, basically, I was going through it. It seemed to be something was just knocking the score down every time, and every next scene or whatever. So, what I think this film has been. Now, I did like the bit at the end with the news bit where it's like, you know, these are vigilantes. I like that bit of discussion, what was caused it. And I think if I was to categorise this film in a nutshell, it would be someone's had that end scene idea about vigilantes and maybe this is what they do, and then they just took a fuck ton of cocaine, and this is what escaped up in this screenplay. It's exactly what has happened. It's so erratic and all over the place. That's what the vibes you get from it, and it's so cringy, it's so bad. I mean, I'm watching it was like Dark Crimes vibes is what I was getting watching this. Like, it was that bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was saying, talking about Willem Dafoe, like, even allowing himself to be part of this. Like, I don't know at what point is he thought, you know what, we can polish this turd and get a decent film out of this. It's fucking horrific. And it's just like you said, it's so much over the top. So not only that bit, so many more plot holes. But bad enough the bit that Billy Connolly, we see in a birdcage getting parole. The next time we see him, he's outside some street with a big cigar in his mouth, just shooting guns at his waiting for this.
He empties 6 guns, like, people, and all he does is hit a finger.
I know.
He's the expert.
It takes it clean off. It's not like it's at an angle. He takes the finger clean off.
It was the way it's like, if you need something done, and he's your man. And then he doesn't do it, and he actually can't do anything. Like, he was always getting some random off the street today, but he was doing that.
So, and amongst that scene as well, where Willem Dafoe is reenacting like what has happened. So he starts doing that. So he's suited and booted, he's got his coffee in his hand, he starts walking you through the house, what's happened. The next time you see him, his jacket's off, his shirt's all undone, he's absolutely sweating, reenacting this gunfight.
And then he steals the finger and puts it in his pocket. Like, that just went so against. Like,
also, so we build up to the end, so the bit where Billy Connolly comes in when the 2 Irish guys are being captured and they're going to be killed, and they get out of the chair, they then turn it on the mafia guy. So then they hear Billy Connolly come in, they go to shoot him, and he finishes off the poem. The next weekend, they're all fucking best pals. What's happened? Did they really? Did they just... They're fucking like some team of vigilantes that Willem Dafoe just lets into a courtroom.
Well, I can obviously like review. I read the synopsis for Boondock Saints 2 because there is a second one of this called All Saints Day, made in 2009. So it's fast forward 10 years from this.
Can we make the fact that we'll never put that as on as our voting option, please?
I agree. Let's never have that
Well,
one.
Billy Connolly is in this, but his character name is Da. So there. So this guy that's been in prison for over 25 years is their dad.
So why was he shooting them?
And
I still don't understand why in the first place. Like Sean said, like I don't understand any of this film.
No.
I did notice that there was a longer version on Amazon when I was buying it. Obviously, I went for the shorter version without even asking these because I wasn't taking a longer version anyway. But it wasn't longer by much. I think it was like an extra maybe 20 minutes, I think. Or maybe it was the second one, I don't know. But fuck me, this was fucking awful.
Just keep going, Sean. Give us your thoughts.
Yeah.
Just absolutely garbage. I'm glad that you kind of feel the same as me because I was thinking to myself before I came on here, I don't know if I've just maybe not paid as much attention as what I thought I did because I didn't have a fucking clue what was going on. I didn't understand how at one point something was happening, and the next point they're tied up in the basement. Like they were on that payphone to Willem Dafoe's character. Then the next, and they were saying, yeah, they might, or he was obviously talking about them getting caught. I'm assuming by the mafia. The next thing they're in the mafia's basement, covered in tomato sauce, or what's supposed to be blood. Whoever the director is, or the writer, or whoever, has obviously got a massive hard-on for Tarantino, because it's just pure pointless, like, violence and gore. Like, it's just absolutely pointless. It's the whole thing is just fucking shit, and I'm actually annoyed that Billy Connolly's put his name to this, because this was fucking atrocious. It is the worst set of accents I've ever heard in my fucking life. I never heard an Irish accent in the film once. The mob boss, who I believe is English in real life, I don't actually know his name, but he kept switching from English to American Italian, and it was atrocious. Sorry, I'm terrible with actors and actresses' names, so I'm going to call him Daryl for The Walking Dead. He also kept switching from Irish to what sounded like English to like American. It was just fucking really, really bad. But the whole thing was just fucking crap. And the end scene where they shot the mob boss in the court, it was just so cheesy with the three of them standing behind them, and obviously like, they're just there for everybody to see, like no masks on. It just didn't make any sense. Like,
I wanted just to jump into to go at that point as well. So I wanted to touch on the fact that the way to get past court security is just to throw your bag over the top of the machine.
Aye, yeah. But you also noticed that they could have just walked past it on the other side because there was nothing there. They could have just walked at the other side of that fucking corridor, and they could have just walked past it because there was nobody or nothing there preventing them from doing that. But they've walked through this thing and chucked their bags over the top of it. Fucking
that did give me a chuckle. Just before you go a little bit forward, so obviously there is a Boondock Saints 2, but officially announced to be filming in May 2022. Boondock Saints 3.
No way.
I'll watch that then.
That has been official. So the director for this is a gentleman called Troy Duffy, whose director's credits read as the following: 1999, The Boondock Saints; 2009, The Boondock Saints 2; and pre-production 2022, The Boondock Saints 3. That's it.
It makes me think I could be a film director if he can get away with those kind of films.
That's his whole career and his writing career.
But I mean, I think that's something like at the start of this film, it's kind of like, you know, like you hear things about film syndicates that footballers get tied into, like for tax avoidance. There was one of the title sequences when it actually said this was like a something syndicate production. And I thought, these films are just there for fucking money laundering things. I've seen it was Wikipedia it beforehand. I think it was something like $3 million or something to make, or it was into millions to the production cost for this film. It only took $30,000+ at the box office. Now, if that is a money laundering scheme, I don't know what the hell it is.
It's a $6 million estimated budget, gross worldwide 30,000. Was there not something else that had happened around about the same like month or week or something that this got announced, Hunter?
There was, yes. Aye, so it's on my trivia, but Columbine sort of happened around about the time when this was meant to get released, which why it was delayed over 2 years, so that they then sort of toned down some of the violence in it. But I'm thinking to myself, there's probably been more violent films than this that have been released in that time span as well.
The fact that they've had to take out stuff and tone down, so it would have been more ridiculous than what it was. But this was a tough watch. Sean, sorry, I'm aware that I interrupted you. Do you have much more you want to rant about this movie?
The only thing I wanted to say was the amount of times that I had to go on the chat or on the Instagram page and check the spelling, because I could never fucking remember how to search for it when I was trying to go on it. Amazon, it was a fucking night. I kept putting band instead of Boond, and then I was putting Bond, and I fucking took me ages to find it.
I kept calling it Boondog rather than Boondock.
Aye. If you ask me tomorrow what the name of this film is, I'll forget it already.
And the term Boondock Saints is never doesn't. I don't know if I missed it, but it's never mentioned in the film.
The Saints part was the
Saints part.
They were the Saints, with the.
They were the Saints.
So
or they were the
Boondock Boondock refers to area where poor and unsophisticated people live.
Wow.
So it's a scheme, basically.
Aye, the scheme.
Yeah, so there you go. So it's basically poor, unsophisticated, highly effective assassins that come from Boston out of nowhere. Probably due to, I'd imagine there's maybe a link to their lineage from their super duper amazing assassin dad who can't hit 3 people standing in front of him with 6 guns. But do you know what, one bit, just see for that scene itself.
Just stop before you move on, sorry. Are we meant to pick up for this movie that Billy Connolly is their dad?
Aye.
What?
I think that's what because so they mentioned earlier on about the prayer that they say, because then that guy, the funny guy's like, oh, can I do that? And they're like, no, that was our dad's. Only our dad said that, and then he comes in and says the end of it whilst they're saying it. So that's the link for you to recognise that that's the dad, and then he's called the Da in the next movie.
Wow.
I don't know about you.
He's been locked up basically longer than they have been conceived.
Well, if he's been 25 years, how old are they roughly?
Early 20s anyway.
Sorry, Sean.
I was going to say, I hope the second film's like a big drama about like a DNA test for the dad and all that if he's been in jail for 25 years.
Well, looking at it can only be worse, because on IMDb, this the first one that we watched scores a 7.7, and that's come from 235,000 people. The second one's got a 6.3, so it gets worse.
This has got a 7.7 in IMDb.
Yeah.
I saw that. I thought I was missing something before I came up. I still think I'm missing something, but users.
I mean, even the fact that it's got a 91% audience score with Rotten Tomatoes too, I'm presuming the audience just been the guy who made the film.
Have you read some of those comments, by the way?
No.
Oh my god, honestly, go and have a read of them. Folk absolutely fucking love this. I'm just convinced the directors have sat and just made up all these different accounts and just typed up pages and pages and pages of favourable reviews and all that. It's fucking crazy.
So the reason I wanted to pick this was because one of the things I quite like watching is Honest Sailors, and this is one that they keep getting asked to do, and they don't. They were like, no, we're not doing it. It's like, fuck it, it's so shite. But they acknowledge the fact that so many people love it, and it's like they couldn't understand it either. Like no idea. On you go, Kyle. Sorry.
I was just going to pick up a point from the shootout scene with their da, and just to touch on again, like I feel like I'm convinced I've missed something throughout this film where they have some form of like assassin training school that they go to learn all this stuff. But the guy gets his finger shot off, blood splatters all over the wall, and they just start spraying ammonia all over it. Like that's a normal thing to carry around and do.
Yeah.
Like, to me, I was like, oh, that's really, really clever. Why are these two doing it?
Yeah.
It would make sense if they'd been like covered in their sacks all the way through it, but they were just like willy-nilly fucking spraying bullets all over the place. They were never covering up anything they were doing any other time, really, apart from some putting a balaclava on once you get into the building. Surely there's CCTV and then walking into that strip club. Faster until they go right to the back.
What
so
I also thought was really, really funny is that when Will Dafoe's dissecting the crime scene and he's talking about all these erratic bullets that the funny man's done because he's went on his shooting spree, but it just lets you think that the other two are like pinpoint assassins, like do not miss, specific shots only, for people that I don't know if they'd ever picked a gun up before the fight with the Russian guy that made no sense either. I'm so confused by it. It's blown my mind about the Rotten Tomatoes scoring for it and how highly thought of it is by people. Because the Rotten Tomatoes have got 91% after 250,000 plus ratings. People just lying to themselves. Although when you click into some of the reviews on there, the top one there says, this is just from November. It says, I think it goes over the heads of the critics. The over-the-top nature of his character makes this extremely funny. Did we laugh
What
at any
does-
points through this, guys?
I cried. Oh, wow.
Another
My
comment.
eyes were bleeding.
This film looks at vigilantes in a gritty but entertaining light. It's ugly, dirty, nasty, and sometimes the right thing to do. This is what the film is telling you. Better than most Tarantino films. Well, there's an argument to be made there. And the chemistry between Norman Reedus and Sean Patrick Flannery is fantastic. As usual, the critics are dead wrong.
What did you think, Fonzie?
I've said a few times before I've came on here that, like, sometimes I change my score based on somebody who can actually explain it to me. Because I came on here thinking I've missed something major about this that actually makes it enjoyable or explains the plot or whatever. Like, it's not anywhere near the worst film we've watched, because, like, before I came on, I looked to see what an IMDb list was to try and give myself some idea when I was going to score it. It did sort of. I didn't feel as if I was switching off throughout it, which is a bonus. But I think that was because I was that confused with what was going on and trying to make sense of it more than anything else. It wasn't because I was particularly enjoying it. I thought Willem Dafoe's character in it, he was pretty decent, but the other two main characters, like the McManus brothers, I just thought they were... I can't make my mind up if it's because they were acting it poor. I think it's more of the fact that they just had... The lines they had were just gave nothing to their character. Like, all they were doing was going about shooting people. And you had no... Like, I think it was Kellett touched on, you had no idea of what these Russian folk, what they'd done wrong. Like, I was watching it thinking, right, so why is this happening? Like, although there's obviously a scene at the start with the bar, but it doesn't explain anything. You just assume to understand why they've got this vendetta and then take it from there that you're supposed to like these two guys. I just thought it was really bizarre. Like I said before, it's as if they've watched Tarantino films and then took all the violence out, but not actually had any plot or storyline to it or any characters to actually get invested in. They were just on the screen. Like, there was not. You didn't feel as if you understood them whatsoever. The bits I did enjoy the bit when obviously William Dafoe's character is in the aftermath of the scenes, he sort of goes back and they use sort of flashbacks and he sort of explains what he thinks happened. It shows you the brawls and the shootings, etc. I thought that was a bit different to how we'd usually see films. I thought that was decent, but out with that, it was really poor. And I thought it was quite well. The only bit I sort of thought was amusing, but this is just because it was ridiculous, was when Billy Connolly came on the screen, because I was just like, him being in a film, but his character was a bit stupid, pointless as well. As I say, he comes in with all these guns, and it's as if he's the main guy. If you want a job done, you go to him, he'll sort it out for you. And all he does is take somebody's finger off and then disappears. It's like, well, and imagine if one else had 6 guns, would probably be able to do that.
What's funny is the fact that they take the effort to put text on the screen to explain to you who each person is and what their status is, and I've still no fucking idea all about anybody. And
that was actually good, to be fair, but the problem was once you actually knew all the information he gave you was the person's name and what they did. Mm-hmm. That was literally it, and then the rest of it you were to make up your own mind and understand what their involvement was in the actual film. And I think was it you, Kel, or Hunt? I can't remember if it was you or Kel said as if it was like a ploy for actually people to get involved in a film, blow this massive budget and know it was garbage when you look at the budget and box office, because I'm bewildered how this can score so highly. Like, I don't get it.
Just scouting through some of the reviews on the Rotten Tomatoes there, and there was a review placed on September 24th, 2020, and I shit you not, from Sean F.
It's not me, I can assure you. It's not me.
Sean F gave this 5 stars. And
How's the Sean spell?
SHAUN.
Is it? Fuck.
And the F is spelled F.
Thanks for that.
I'll send you a picture of this to confirm, but it says here, Natural Born Killers meets John Wick.
What is it?
I'm actually quite disappointed none of us actually liked this, because I thought I was going to come on here and be either in the minority, or at least what somebody was going to come on and say that they really enjoyed this. It's quite disappointing. But
see, when the whole idea of these films is they should be polarising, and between the five of us, we normally disagree enough. But see, as soon as I finished watching it, I knew I was like, nobody's going to have anything positive to say about this. Like, I would have been astonished.
Just to finish off Sean F's comments, it says, this is a story of justice done in a gritty Irish-Italian kind of way. The good guys are both regular Joes but larger than life. Some dark humour as well as cold justice. This is a fun movie, plain and simple. If you like crime movies like Lock, Stock and Snatch, then you'll like this movie too.
I mean, no you won't.
Sean, you need to take a hard look at yourself, pal.
No, I've been caught, I've been found out. I love it. 5 out of 5.
Right, I've wrote that down. That's a 5 for Sean. Guys, do we have anything more we want to actually say to this or give this time?
I don't know why I get any more time. I fucking hate it.
Right, Hunter, let's get some.
Just one that I forgot was start with he dropped the toilet on the guy.
yeah.
And then he went to jump off the top of the building. Now we've all seen this is
shite that bit.
This has been done in a lot of films where someone jumps up the building. Normally they land in like a big pile of garbage or like on an awning outside a building or something that cushions their fall, right? And it's still pretty unbelievable, but we're used to it in action movies, right? No, he jumps 5 stories and lands on a guy, and he's sound.
Pretty much lands feet first.
Aye, like, oh my god. When he jumped off, I thought he was going to land in that big pile of bags that were there. It seemed like it was all set up for the stunt. And when he just landed on the guy, I was like, what the fuck's going on? Like, they're not even doing the setup properly.
And
anyway,
it's when the toilet's falling over the top and it hits the guy directly in front of his brother, but none of it touches his brother.
I know.
Oh god, it's ridiculous. Well, Hunter, let's jump on with some trivia then.
Right, so I'll try and make of this as best as I can. So the word fuck was used 246 times, and the film was shot over 32 days. I'm presuming just 30 days of that was
lunch. Probably.
Oh, it's lunch. Mark Wahlberg come down one of the brothers to start in Boogie Nights.
That's a very good choice he's made there, Mark.
Again, we touched on the delay. The film was delayed over 2 years. Now, other names who were considered to play Willem Dafoe's role, I presume, before the screenplay was just set back with a plate fuck off, was Patrick Swayze, Robert De Niro, Kenneth Branagh, and Kevin Spacey.
Do you think that's one of those ones where they've went to William Dafoe and said, here's a list of the other people that we're talking to, but hadn't actually approached any of them? And Dafoe's like, well, fuck it, I'll take it.
Basically got a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy who knows Robert De Niro's phone number.
They've totally sent the script to all these big names thinking none of them will get back to us, and Willem Dafoe being so mental was like, I'll do this. Clearly a lot of drugs at this point. Like, he seems like he's a lot of drugs doing this movie.
Surely as well, it's like, this is obviously, like Kel was saying, this is the director's first movie. Like, I don't know, maybe you'll be able to tell me different, but like, surely if it's your first movie, you're never going to get a big name to do it, because they're going to think, well, who are you? And then just like pie you off. Surely you'd have to get a bit of reputation first before somebody with a big name's going to. Even if you get paid an absolute wad for it, they're not going to want to put their name to something that's a director's first film. Even if they look at the script, I think this looks half decent.
You'd be surprised. Like, what was Tarantino's first movie? Reservoir Dogs.
Mm-hmm.
It starts.
Again, he's like kind of what he'd done, and obviously what with True Romance and other stuff. So it was like going as a complete novice. Was
the
this
old
guy looks as if he was.
No, I just he basically like he just wrote the script for Boondock Saints, and it got picked up by a producer's assistant, who then took it to someone that went up a chain from there. Yeah. But yeah, what we're passing up Boogie Nights. That's mad. Like,
I know.
It's just mad that was the types of people that they were chasing after. But to be fair, they've got some names in there. Any more trivia you want to go through, Hunter?
I do, yeah. So the body count was 33 people and 1 cat.
Oh, that was quite funny, to be fair.
Billy Connolly, apparently, so the scene where he comes out when he's got the 6 guns and whatever, they had to give him a cigar at that point to put in his mouth because apparently he couldn't stop smelling because he was so stoked to be playing this gun-wielding psychopath. I'm thinking, what was he on at that time? I was also overjoyed at that. And the other guy...
It's got a bit just because Billy Connolly kept laughing and smiling.
He was so smiling, he was so happy he was getting to wield guns and play a psychopath to give a cigar to stop him smiling. And David De La Rocco, obviously the funny man, was named after him because the character was based on and written for him. So basically, he's got the same name in the film. It's like David De La Rocca, and I'm like, that just again screams serial cocaine addict has written a screenplay to me.
Aye.
So he's also, that was his first movie, and he never acted again for 10 years after.
Was his second movie the second Boondock Saints movie?
Close, but there's something called Jake's Corner. He plays Wheels. I don't even know if it's a movie. It's a 5.8 rated movie on IMDb, so it's obviously a big seller. But yeah, Boondock Saints right after that, and then that's it, pretty much.
Did anyone notice Ron Jeremy in this? I didn't notice him in it on hindsight.
Yeah. I noticed it because I was reading through it and I was telling Alaska at work about it, and she was asking who he was, so I had to explain his career to her.
His career? Did you know his career path in death, Bugsy?
Sorry?
Okay. His career path.
Well, that'd be an interesting one. I put his career path up on Instagram.
Did you describe his measurements while you were at it?
I didn't. I don't know if she had to look herself to find out.
Well, listen.
She'll probably listen to the podcast, so I'll keep her name private because they'll find that.
Well, she's furiously googling Ron Jeremy.
Yeah, exactly.
He's been in a lot of films, to be fair to him.
Just make sure she's going incognito.
Oh dear. Well, this will be fun and interesting. But before we go into us scoring it, what was Instagram saying about this one?
Well, amazingly, a couple of comments underneath it saying that it's amazing, and a few 5s, but a couple of zeros. Somebody gave it a 0.1, which I found quite funny, and a couple of 1s. And it was mostly negative scores from people, but there was still a surprisingly high amount of 5s for this. I don't know what it is. Do you think maybe if you watched this at 14, maybe 13 years old, and it was, I don't know. I still can't get my head around it, but yeah, some people still loved it.
At least we're not complete outliers though, because obviously we're 91%. You think if you looked at the comments, every single one was going to be 4s and 5s. So there is obviously people of the same opinion as us. We're not just complete idiots.
Aye.
Well, let's see if we tie up anywhere near the 7.7 out of 10 that it is on IMDb. It's currently the 1,736 most popular movie on IMDb as of today. It's down 274 places. But it doesn't tell you much when Eternals is number 1 just now, followed by Scream.
Aye, so that's just what's popular at the time.
Don't Look Up is 5th.
Aye. That's just what folk are talking about.
Well, Boondock Saints is only getting mentioned by us, I can imagine. But Daniel, kick us off with your score.
Quite simple, this one, 0.25.
Wow.
0.25. Hunter?
Again, I said I was getting Dark Kinds vibes whilst watching, so I think I'm going to give it the same whatever I scored that. It's 0.5.
0.5. Burnsy?
So I'm going to score it slightly higher, but this is based on me having a look at our IMDb list. So I think it's on par with Fear and Loathing. So I'm going to also give it a 1.
To be fair, it's a good argument. I'd rather watch this than Fear and Loathing. Oh God, Sean.
Same as Daniel, a 0.25.
I'm quite torn on there, but I'm going to come in with a 0.5 because I think I might have scored Fear and Loathing about that, or maybe lower. It was a pile of shit, this film. Like I said in the chat directly after I watched it, when Daniel said it's 99 pence to rent, I was like, well, it's 89 pence too much.
Yeah.
I'm expecting a refund in my Amazon account for having suffered through that.
They've actually got a cheek of having this on Amazon, and you have to open it. Seriously.
Normally it's £2.99 to rent a movie. So there must be a reason this is only 99 pence.
Aye.
I think when I looked earlier, Boondock Saints, you can't even rent, you have to pay like 12 quid for number 2.
Jesus fuck.
Bunsy, what does that do to the overall scoring then?
So that brings it bang on at 0.5.
At 0.5. Jeez, it's been a while since we've had one this low on the list. It doesn't quite go to this. It's funny when you look down the list, obviously it goes 100 and then we've got 101 and it's just Zulu Dawn on its own on another page. But this one brings it to our 5th worst movie that we've watched. So it's slightly above The Last Airbender and Mega Shark vs. Colossus, but below Pokemon Detective Pikachu and Fear and Loathing.
See, that's for me. See, the people that like all the Mega Shark films are the people that would love this.
Yeah.
So people who don't like films.
Yes, pretty much. Yeah.
Or people who think it's cool to like a bad film.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I don't think it's cool to like it. I think it's funny to watch. There's a slight difference in
I just didn't get it myself. I didn't get it.
Well, when we do our Mega Shark week, then we'll because we'll have to add that to the wheel at some point. We'll watch the whole series of Mega Shark versus. That'll be quite funny.
No.
Just an absolute no when it comes to that. Well, guys, that does do it for today's movies. School of Rock coming into number 43 on our leaderboard with a 3.25. And Boondock Saints coming in at 98 with a 0.5. Massively different from what Rotten Tomatoes said, I must say. We're not in that 91% of the audience that are scoring it really highly. We're more in line with the critics for this one.
Yeah, we're in line with the critics. So fuck you cunts on Instagram that says we shouldn't review movies.
Oh, sorry, we shouldn't review movies.
Shouldn't review movies. It was a tough watch for that one, and I mean, I wish I watched this one first and then School of Rock. I mean, it made me a wee bit happier for this week. So to talk about next week, Daniel, do you want to introduce what's going on for next week's stream?
Yeah, so I've not revealed top one yet between the two that were neck and neck. So next week we've got Ben coming on as our guest. His Instagram is Funny Film Diary, so you can go and give him a follow. And I'm sure we'll be sort of putting things across for each other through the week. But he gave us 16 movies. It was quite a weird, eclectic selection of movies, which was a bit different for us. So I quite enjoyed how none of those movies are really ones that we would have picked, most of them. And we've ended up with LA Confidential, which I'm delighted about because we've had that in a vote a few times and it's never ever got near winning. And then the other the other final was between The Full Monty and Planet of the Apes, original Charlton Heston Planet of the Apes. It was sitting at 36 each. We're out to go. How do we think it finished?
Fingers crossed for Planet of the Apes.
I'm hoping it's not, but I think it's going to be Planet of the Apes.
If it's Planet of the Apes, I'm going to hang up.
It's Planet of the Apes. So we're watching LA Confidential and Planet of the Apes original, which I love the new Planet of the Apes movies, so it'll be interesting to go back and watch the old one because I've not seen it since. I think I saw it with my gran and granddad when I was maybe 6 or 7 or something like that. So,
I'm the same, and I really like the new ones too, but I just remember hating this because I didn't actually want to see the new ones because I hated this so much. Oh, right, okay.
So that's what we've got coming up next week. So I'm quite looking forward to something a wee bit different. We've not watched an old movie for a while, so that'll do.
Right, we need to watch something good anyway after watching the Boondock Saints. So I have been looking forward to LA Confidential. It's one of these ones you see the poster, it's such a recognisable poster, but I've never seen the movie. So yeah, I'm quite looking forward to seeing this on there. We don't have anything available left on the wheel, guys, so we'll have to do that at a later date. We'll get a wheel spun with some new categories on there. As we did finish up with 101 movies, essentially putting an end to phase 1, we will redo it for phase 2. We'll screen record that, pop that onto Amazon, on Instagram for people to see, and then we will get the voting kicked back in for next week. So please stay tuned, log on to Instagram. The Instagram comment is just down below, you can see the name there. It is Morons Reviewing Movies, all one word for those listening back on the podcast. Thanks again for today. That was quite fun actually to listen to. I was worried about how much content we'd have to talk about, but we've wrapped up to nearly an hour and a half basically berating Boondock Saints. So it has been a very good night, guys. But Morons, I bid you farewell.
Yeah, cheers.
Bye.